Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch transfer.
It's probably the least sexy part of the work, and I don't That's okay. No. The truth is,
my guest today is Kyle Merrick, and he's not your typical marketing guy. Kyle was adopted at birth, maintains meaningful relationships with all four of his parents, and starts every day grounded in gratitude for the life he's been given. He spent over a decade as a competitive gymnast, learning discipline, resilience, and what it really means to show up when no one's watching. But that's just the foundation. Kyle went on to build and run a successful marketing agency for nearly 10 years before intentionally burning the rule book and reinventing himself as a marketing coach, performer, and the founder of Anarchy for a Day. Not chaos, but tactical differentiation. Helping leaders. I just love that. I'm sorry, Kyle. I got to stop right there because I just love the name Anarchy for a Day. But he's helping leaders. He's helping leaders stop blending in, stop guessing, and finally stand out in a crowded world. He's also an actor, voice artist, speaker, improv comic, and yes, an auctioneer with a radio-ready voice and an old soul who understands both storytelling and the business behind it. Adopted, sober by choice, unapologetically human, and refreshingly blunt, Kyle Merrick guarantees this won't be a cookie-cutter conversation. And trust me, you're going to want to hear where this one goes. Oh, man, Kyle, you ready for this?
Given that intro, boy, do I have a lot to rack up with mostly my own introduction.
God.
Oh,
wait a minute, what? Did I get anything wrong?
No, you did perfectly, man. I'm worried I can't even live up to my own expectations.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. So when people hear adopted at birth, four parents, competitive gymnast, agency owner turned rule breaker, it can sound like a real highlight reel. So I'm curious, what part of your story do you feel actually shaped the way you think, work, and show up in the world the most, and why?
The most is the critical part that I'm going to zero in on, because everything that you listed is all reality. None of that is fabricated, and all of those are hugely, impactful in each their own way. The component that I'm really going to focus on is the entrepreneurial component. If you think about what has actually impacted me the most, because entrepreneurship means that you're swimming your waters, you're navigating them yourself.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out. And when you're faced with those moments, whether or not failure is on the other end of it, or if you achieve whatever it is that you're trying to, define as success here, you're going to hopefully walk away with something. And in my case, I, more often than not, learned through failure. That is because, reps of, I'm the explorative spirit, leads to, there's a lot of adoptees that very quite honestly, they don't know who they are. There's a lack of identity. And for my own self, I was actually talking about this with one of my two dads, the dad that raised me. And so this is, he was a risk taker back in the day. And so I said, I conceded. All right, you've taken a good couple risks in your life, and that's awesome. I admire that. Now, I think the key defining difference between the risks that he took versus the risks that I took, not to compare quality caliber of risks themselves, it is to say, what's the reason that one would endeavor to take a risk in the first place?
Right.
For me, the defining difference is these risks, these moments where I need to go through something to be able to really understand it. It is to understand the self. It's more self-exploration than anything else, as opposed to, say, a financial risk.
Okay.
If we're talking like investments, in the business world, something. Right. So a lot of it largely is like experience is what defines my character. Entrepreneurship, the way that I refer back to that to say, it has been massively, massively impactful.
Well, the thing, and you mentioned all the failures, and this is something I've always said too, I think your most successful people are the ones that failed. Yeah, and I always think of Michael Jordan, the basketball players, because if I'm not mistaken, he never made the high school basketball team. Or at least he kept getting cut or something. I don't know. I forget what the story was. I got to read Chicken Soup for the Soul again. But you think of it, I mean, I truly believe that the most successful people are the ones that failed and weren't afraid to fail, because that is your biggest lesson. If you don't learn from it, then you're not really learning.
Yeah. What's the point? Why are you doing it in the first place?
Yeah.
You're not open to, because that's the difference is, you need to be open to accepting whatever comes to it or comes from it.
All right, I have to ask this for the marketing company, because
Sure.
I love the name. How'd you come up with that? Anarchy for a Day.
That notion, anarchy itself, for a day is just something I tacked on because it made the domain available.
Okay.
I had to figure out, how the fuck do I make this work? Well, all right, we'll tack one singular day onto it and just see if that works. Yeah. But the reality is here, marketing agency, that was sort of the first iteration of the company. And granted, it evolved over the years. But regardless, all of the people that have come to me throughout the years and been like, dude, we hate our marketing partner. They are not delivering to the standard that we expect, or they simply stopped talking to us. It's wildly frustrating. Is all of these different people who've come to us throughout the years. And so there's distrust.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. We can always overcome that by simply just being rad people and showing like, well, we actually care. That's what defines us versus others. Sort of that human capital component that is critically a miss in the world of business. But all right, then enter AI. AI is kind of coming in, taking over the workplace and simplifying a lot of tasks that humans seemingly failing on. And people think, all right, well, I've spent a lot of money with wholesale marketers and I'm getting my whole ass handed to me. All the while, my pockets are lightening too. So why would I embrace marketers anymore if I have these AI technologies that I can use to automate, whatever the processes are that I need? So, okay, not only is it cheaper, but it's more efficient and more consistent. And it means that the entrepreneur, the maker, whoever's essentially pulling the strings, they are in charge, hypothetically. And so, in other words, if we're talking about like RFPs from a marketing agency standpoint, the moment that myself and my partners are aiming for one single RFP, if AI, any solution enters that same arena, they come in at such a low price point that we can no longer play with that. And it's almost not an option because companies aren't willing to spend money, so they go with the cheaper option.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different reasons that led me to say, you know what, this marketing agency model, because we're not the big dogs. We never were. I'm not,
right.
I have no delusions about that. But that's part of the influencing factor. If you don't have that same agency reputation, then there's a lot of people that just aren't going to invest. That means the market's shrinking. Quite simply, the marketing agency model has become, in my mind, in my worldview, it's antiquated. So this is that moment that led me to say, I need a full-time fucking job.
Yeah.
And I had to mourn the whole fact that, like, all right, I'm done working for myself. I have to go find a company that I'm willing to sell my soul to, or what's left of it. And, so that's marketing director, creative director, anything like that. But interesting companies or, perhaps nonprofits, something that like actually really speaks to me. And for a number of months, I tried and failed finding a job. And so I had to go find a coach for myself because I figured, well, I'm clearly the problem in this job search. And so in the very first conversation I have with this coach, she says, I know that you need me to, focus on the resume. But if you hear me out for just a second, I see a lot of very similar traits in the way that you operate. I could see being a coach. Said, all right, well, coming from you, that's a high compliment, but also, I can't start another company, man. That ain't going to happen.
Right.
The whole reason why you're here is I need a corporate job. All right, so then that same week, the Colorado Nonprofit Association, they reach out. They invite myself and a colleague to go build out a single-day in-person boot camp for their members, all their nonprofit bases. So, okay, now I'm building out educational course materials, and I have this sort of like the seed plant of, well, maybe you should think about coaching. And so this notion of becoming this educator is becoming literally realized within the same week.
Yeah.
And this education component, I mean, for sales and marketing, there's always an educational component. So it's not a new thing, but
it's always changing too.
It's always changing. And then if you think about it from like the agency does it.
Yeah.
The coach teaches you how to do it. So that's the difference, is like, how is it that I have to rethink everything? If I am really going to embrace this coaching concept, how do I take an entire body of knowledge and then shift it so that the non-marketing expert can now come to understand it? How do I perhaps build formulas in ways that people can like, oh, okay, well, that actually makes a lot of sense and it's actionable, so I can use this in my everyday practice. So that consideration, that like, oh, fuck, I have to change this entirely now, is anarchy. It is the rethinking, the re-engineering of what was so that you can make something new.
Yeah.
So that was the moment that I realized, because I'm literally causing complete and utter anarchy in my own...
Inside your head.
Mine, yeah. Brain. And I figured, well, as long as you can use it in a very tactful sense, it can be highly productive. Anarchy for just the cause of like, let's just break everything for no reason. Well, that's useless. It's not going to benefit anybody. But if you are very specific about how you employ it and very intentional about when, you never know what's on the other side of that.
Man, just imagine if you wouldn't have talked to that coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I was in, actually it was car sales. One of the things I loved doing, except back then they weren't called coaches, but they may as well have been, was going to these, I guess you could say, back then they weren't webinars, I guess seminars, but hearing all these different speakers come out and come up and talk to you. I always think of Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar would have been a hell of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, he was, but I guess you could say he was more of a mentor than anything. But yeah, I talk to marketers all the time, but I don't think I've ever talked to a marketing coach.
I'm not the only one out there. I know that there are a couple others.
A couple, not a lot though.
It's because it's kind of a niche. You often hear, executive coaches, business coaches, so coaches that handle more like the holistic view. The reality is, I can speak to a holistic sort of business sense, and one of my coaching clients right now, that's the case. I'm helping her get things up and running for her business. Nonetheless, I'm still a marketing coach.
All right. So when you said, like with this woman, you're helping her get everything up and running.
Sure.
So, because I'm thinking of, people that want to start a business, what is involved with helping her? What's everything you're helping her get up and running with?
Well, she doesn't have a business account yet.
Okay.
Established. So the business literally simply does not exist. So what we're thinking about right now is, all right, well, the consideration is primarily, for-profit versus nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we do one versus the other? And, very simply, having been on a board myself, and, multiple people have said, like, well, what do you think in time? Like, would you ever want to, be the executive director of a nonprofit? And I say, abso-fucking-lutely not. That is so much work.
Yeah, it is.
We're having to deal with a board of directors, which by the grace of God, you hope that they're engaged. The number of execs that I've met along the way who are like, oh, my whole board is just beyond useless. and I need to replace them. And oh my God, what a conversation I'm not looking forward to. There's so many different moving components, and now the board has a say in things, and you got to, dude, from a branding standpoint, rebranding an existing 8-year-old nonprofit and then convincing an entire board of people who are almost unmoving
Yeah.
well, we don't want this to change. It was working. Why would we change this? But the executive director herself had to step out of that conversation, just be like, Kyle, you do this. You need to go talk to them. It ain't easy. These people.
No, it's not.
There's heart, there's soul, and there are dollars to boot. Everybody's got skin in the game.
Well, and that's why, for those of you running a nonprofit, listen to this very carefully. That's why when it comes to a board of directors, they should have terms. And you see a lot of these nonprofits, the board of directors have been there for freaking 10 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they do a 2-year term and you want them back for a second term, that's up to you and the rest of the board.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you got to. Well, we see it in government. There's there's too many terms.
Yeah, something tells me good old Donnie is he's kind of up to mind. Yeah, we're done with this whole term thing. You guys better be used to being by this time.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're also helping with websites and all too, right?
Yeah, and so there is the more kind of traditional, these days a lot of here's the honest answer: all of marketing can be done with AI these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Me, I could be completely obsolete in a very short period of time. It is a constant consideration. Yeah. I'm not obsolete because AI is not yet in a place where we can just autopilot, set it, right. Forget it. We need the human intervention to ensure that we're getting a good product and we're moving in the right direction, because what you put in is more or less what you get out.
Exactly.
So the component here that I'm remarking on is, okay, with the acknowledgement of potential obsolescence. Value still comes in when another client right now is manufacturing consultant, rebranding him. And so that's, all right, let's fix the brand. Let's figure out the ethos, the mission, the vision, values, all that stuff, down to, the visual components. That's the logo type, all the, whatever. And then, of course, anybody who's rebranding, that has to translate to the website. And if the website as is, by the time you start this engagement, if it just simply is not functioning properly, well, that's a critical component of it. So, with rebrands, the website is it's part of the package.
Right.
And myself, my business partner, the reason that you would essentially have humans do the rebranding is because we can really research and understand the market. You can do that research yourself, but if you're not truly versed in how to brand or how to develop the brand and figure out, all right, if we're building a foundation, how do we most securely build that foundation so that whatever we, create upwards from there, the structure itself will be sound.
Yeah.
That's the ethos, and that's the thinking behind it. And if you have two people working on it, that means the brand and the website can be built in conjunction with one another, thus saving time.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't think AI will take away positions of marketers to say, but I do believe if marketers don't learn how to use it, then it might. Yep. And the same for companies. Well, let's face it, most of your entrepreneurs and companies are going to say they don't have the time to learn AI. And that's the thing of AI. You have to learn how to use it.
Yep.
Think about the car industry. When robots first came out at the manufacturer line, they said it's going to kill the car industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it got big. Computers came out. Oh, that is good. And it just made people's jobs easier for a while until they got to hand more duties. But then it actually created more jobs. I think about it. How many back in the day, how many websites were there before the internet? None. Internet came, More jobs. That's how I think of AI. I think if people embrace it, it's going to create more jobs, especially in the marketing field. And you as a marketing coach, you're already learning. You do SEO as well. One of the other things, I think it's called Geo or something like that, where like you're, oh God, I'm going to get it wrong. It's almost like SEO for your devices, like, I don't want to say her name too loud, like Lexi, Google, and all of that.
Well, there's SEO for that. Then there's AEO, Ask Engine
AEO.
Optimization.
Okay.
And so essentially, like what that remarks on is that like SEO for Google, which is still the king of search engines, or queen, depending on who you are. For fuck's sake, people. It's just trying to be inclusive here.
Oh God. There's the comic.
So Google needs keywords.
Oh God.
Sorry. All right, back on track here. Focus. Google requires singular keywords. In other words, if you are this, entrepreneur or a service provider, then what do you do in single words? That's how Google, scrapes the web and figures out and validates. All right, well, you and a couple other sources, they all line up. This is clearly what you do. Now, Ask Engine Optimization, Ask Engine being like GPT, Gemini, these Perplexity, whatever the different AI platform is. I may talk about GPT, but this is not me saying that's the only.
So there's a ton of them. Yeah.
It's all over the place. And, people that have different opinions, and fine. The Ask Engines, it's more query based, like essentially like full human sentence query. And so essentially accounting for that, ensuring that you have full sentences that are more or less answers to what people might likely be asking. If they're searching for like a local shoe brand by like within like 2 mile radius of you or something like that, make sure that that's somehow accounted for, whether in like blog format or something like that. And it's the same with, the Alexas and Siris and, all that good stuff where I'm less familiar with that world. I know that there's specific things that you can do for it, but I'm simply not read on it. But
always changing.
What's that?
It's always changing.
Yeah, and it all
Because
has
of
to be
AI
accounted
being
for.
yeah.
That's the difficulty, because if you only cater to essentially what Google is looking for, then ask engines aren't going to be searching for you the same way. It just doesn't work like that.
Now, with the marketing coaching, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you also offer a course?
I do. Yeah, so it'll be essentially like one-on-one. So if you're a client, we'll be online just like this, talking through specifically, if it's like, all right, throwing spaghetti at the wall, then we figure out, well, what is it that you have to address most, pressingly? We begin with that, and then we essentially just kind of work our way through that to do this together. The course itself, that was what I initially developed, when I told that story of how Anarchy sort of came about in my own brain. That was the course that I was like, all right, well, if I have to coursify it, the whole of my knowledge of marketing that's it. And I call it a BA of digital marketing, Bachelors of Anarchy.
I love that. I saw that. I was like, oh, that is smart.
Yeah. Sorry, kids. No college credit for that one.
Well, the other thing too, with your marketing background, you also do voiceover and acting and improv comic. So when do companies actually have you do, whether it be commercials, whether it be audio commercials and stuff for them as well?
Well, that's part of it. So there's,
okay.
I've been in commercials as an actor, so, on camera too.
Right.
But then there's the voiceover, in commercial where, it's more like, come to Cuyahoga Falls. We got all the martinis and zip lines to boot, bring the whole family. Yeah, there's that. but then there is the like if you're thinking about like video games too,
Oh my God. I didn't
voice
think of it.
acting, that's where
Oh,
people are putting out essentially audio, like audio dramas,
yeah.
more or less, where it is acting just without the face, and it still requires sort of the same techniques of
That's big, isn't it?
scene. It's interesting. I can't see that I'm one who like embraces that personally. Like I'm an
Right.
audiobook. Like if I go to Audible things, it's either podcast or a specific book that I'm looking for,
Okay.
specific stuff. But I know that there is a massive, massive market out there, and especially some of it's like linked to like cons, like Comic-Con and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That crowd, I'm just simply not, in that realm. But
Yeah.
I understand that like those people will jam out with that stuff all day. And you asked a couple different questions. I forget what they are now.
Oh, about, with you doing the improv and everything and the
Oh, okay.
voiceover,
Oh,
radio commercials, stuff like that.
so improv too. I'm not doing like improv comedy. I'm not doing like stand up or anything like that. I should clarify.
Okay.
Improv was like 12 years ago, something that I studied for a couple years. And so it informs essentially everything I do. It's a strategy that I bring into the conversation when necessary. And this is, conversation is on air live.
I think that's something
We're
great
doing
for
it, man.
people to study, though.
Oh, it's epic. It's terrifying. Okay, so I'll tell you the story of how I first got into it. Because I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay.
So
Go Blackhawks. Sorry.
go, there you go, man. That's it.
Kind of
Man.
Oh. Pissed that the Bears did not make it into the Super Bowl, but that's okay.
Well, out here, the Broncos didn't do a whole heck of a lot better. So.
Oh, and I said it wrong. I'm sorry. The Bears. Okay, go ahead.
The Bears. The Bears. So now I forgot what. Oh no. Okay.
Improv.
I graduated college, and I had a buddy in college who moved to Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I got my first job out of college in Columbus, Ohio, and so I hit him up because I was like, outside of a teeny smattering of family out there, I didn't really have all that many other people I knew.
Right.
And he's like, "Well, come on out. I'm going to be doing some improv over at a bar. Come hang with us." Now, what this asshole didn't tell me is anybody who comes to watch
has to take part,
goes and doesn't.
Oh shit.
And so, this is 12 years ago. Now you're talking to, a dude who's okay. I've been in, feature films. I've been the nude model and drawing classes. I'm fucking whatever. This is, I don't care anymore.
Right.
I do care, but I'm shameless. Back then I cared.
Yeah.
And so I was literally dripping sweat with how nervous I was, simply just being up there and working whatever the scene was. And oh my God, it was terrifying. But there is, outside of sales, which with your car sales background, I would say too, like I have a sales background as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is, sales in the streets of Chicago. That's how I really understood how to actually talk to people. And then improv came into the picture. And those two things, if you need to A, figure out how to come out of your shell, and B, learn how to talk to people, don't do anything else. Sales and improv. That's it.
That's one thing I've always wanted to do, was study improv. I would love to try it.
Well, do it, man. I have to imagine that, like, if you hop on Facebook and find like a local group, like that's what it was.
Sure,
it wasn't anything terribly formal. It was just like a bunch of people that get in a bar. It's just passionate. We're not spending money to do any of this. We're just hanging out and playing together. That's it.
Now, how did you actually get into acting?
Acting, I reached a cool fuck it place when I was looking for a job, and I was like, well, and
I love that.
Yeah, what a cool origin story. Kyle cares. He tried something new. Yeah, surprise, Peter Parker is now Spider-Man. So it was in the same phase when I was doing that corporate job search before I talked to the coach, because I always had like a lingering, just an interest.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood movies, I grew up on movies, and so there was always this lingering interest of like, what happens if I act? And stupidly, I was like, it's It's got to be fairly easy. What an idiot. What an idiot.
Why is that?
I'll tell you, man, I'm putting out an audition right now.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who or what for, but like I had to research for this specific audition just so that I can understand the brain space that's required, because there's multiple different beats that need to be met in this single scene that also include spikes that, like, I ran the scene a couple times with another acting buddy last night. And by the end of it, I'm physically in pain because of the space that I need to put myself in.
Damn.
And then doing that repetitiously to see if I can get a better take just means you're doing the same thing take after take.
Right.
And, it requires a very anxious state, that frenetic energy that is not, a healthy actor is in a very calm space in life. Now, that calm is to say they can still access the highs and lows. That's the difficulty of it, that if you're talking about, okay, now I'm actually doing it, difficulty for a lot of people is just having time and, not being shackled to family or job or, stuff like that. So I'm a single dude that is not shackled to, like, I work for myself. So, I have ultimate flexibility, but not everybody's in that space in life.
Now, actually, with that, are you? And I want to go back to the coaching too, but with the acting, are you also training actors?
No, I do not train actors.
Okay.
I'm in acting class. I'm about to take my first singing lesson at 7 p.m.
Oh, wait a minute, what?
Terrified. The job of the actor, it's like a Swiss Army knife, as I understand it. It's like, we are a tool that for the director, we need to be as useful as possible. And so even if I'm not going out for like musicals and stuff like that, which I have no interest in doing, I need to learn how to use these pipes.
Wow.
That's it. But then there's come 3 days from now, once we hit February, okay, then there's a 4-part tactical firearms training course that I'm taking. Then there's the training karate, understanding hand-to-hand combat so that I can understand this all as like combat in film. You pervert it a little bit for the camera. It has to change sometimes, depending on who is, directing, what the vision is, and yada, yada. But it's like, have you seen any of the John Wick movies?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Keanu Reeves is a pristine example of this, where, like he has clips of him doing his firing range thing, and he does it at like record speeds. He's legitimately good because he has the experience, the practice. He is he's a lethal individual in life, not simply on camera. It's because he's gone through all of this training, and same with how he fights too. So that's the ethos is, well, I can change it to whatever the vision needs, requires on set. But the reality is, and this is why I'm happy to have some of the friends I do. One of them is, he's a formerly a sports shooter. He's out hunting today, and he's in Ohio, and I'm, on gaming with him regularly. And I sent him a fight scene I did, and he's like, you want to do some of the stuff you did. He's a hardcore realist in a lot of ways, and he tears stuff apart, and objectively, and not like in a dickish way.
Right.
And I figure, all right, well, this is that moment, that understanding of, well, I'm going to be under the gun. Like, scrutiny is part of the world, fine. But at least if I train to understand, say, karate on a foundational level, from a black belt who's been training for the better half of his life and done a test that others, and this is his words, literally consider impossible, well, then I think that's a fair enough expert to consider as being my personal mentor.
Yeah.
So I am blessed, honored, and I'm still stupefied that he's even spending any time with me, because I feel like I don't deserve it. But boy, does he have a tremendous amount to teach.
Wow.
And that's the reality, is with this acting comes a tremendous amount of, well, I get to still learn. And learning
never stops.
Never, ever. And it's awesome. That's what makes it fun.
See, and I'm glad you mentioned that because and this is something I've told, especially kids all the time. I don't care what your job is, the learning never stops.
No.
No matter what you're doing. I mean, you're seeing it with the marketing, you're seeing it with the acting. It's wow. And I think the other thing is too, if all this other stuff that you're doing, it's just going to help with the marketing coaching.
It all translates. And a lot of the marketing coaching, my entrepreneurial bent, having that business mind, being able to read a contract and actually understand what it means and look out for my own rights as a maker, artist. There's a lot of actors that quite honestly don't have the business savvy. So, that's part of my message in passing to people is, hey, look, there's a lot of scams out there. Just make sure you're reading.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you're looking out for where AI is coming in, because just be careful with that stuff. I very intentionally put in clauses. I'm like, don't use my likeness, my voice. Do not train AI with it. Do not duplicate using AI. And if there is any conversation about that, then we have a separate agreement that is written and signed off.
Boy, and just think soon, some of these clients are going to have you singing pitches for them.
La, 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 la.
Oh, God. But again, that's what makes a good actor is learning all this stuff. What's his name? The one that just did and he sang before.
Talking Chalamet?
Who?
Chalamet?
No, the one that just did Neil Diamond. Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, yeah.
Yeah.
Prime example. Dude's jacked as fuck. He's been, Wolverine for longer than anybody else who's been playing a superhero. Yeah, well, except Blade, whoever that guy is. Wesley
Snipes.
Wesley Snipes, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude can sing like nothing. He's been on Broadway for a while.
Oh, I tell you another one that's surprising is Billy Bob Thornton. Have you ever heard him sing?
No.
It'll blow you away.
I'm sure.
Oh man, amazing.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't know he sang, and I saw his, it was on YouTube and performed. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn, he's good.
Because, that's part of the fun is, the actor gets to surprise individuals. But, today I'm playing this person, this character, whatever. But, then tomorrow I could be something very different.
Yeah. All right. So Kyle, I love to ask people this. Feel good stories. Can you share one or two or three or four or five, six? It doesn't matter. Feel good stories of somebody that you've coached and how it's helped them.
I mean, it's a lot less tangible. I mean, the reality, I'm helping them to build their own structures, enable the makers to make without the impositions that I've felt along the way. It's the same notion as a parent. It's like, well, I went through this so that you don't have to. So the reality is, I don't know if the feel good component is when, the client today, who you can call a student, she's like, well, I need the session. That implies there is still value. It's not that I'm questioning my value, but it's that we're having fruitful conversation. That, to me, that's where as long as I know that I'm having a positive impact in others' lives, the moment I realize that I'm not, then old Kyle is going to exit stage left, whatever that means. That just means my value is done. I thank you. Good night. So that little notion, as long as I understand that I'm worthwhile, I'm the servant type. So,
you know what? In all honesty, because I ask people that question a lot, that's probably one of the best answers. Because if you still feel like if somebody's coming to you, then you still have value.
For me, all I have to focus on oftentimes are very nuanced things.
Yeah.
Understand, well, how is this conversation going? Does this individual actually appreciate what I'm bringing to the table? I have to focus on these things in order to continue operating for myself.
I love that. You ought to start a podcast. You ever think about that?
Thought about it.
Oh shit! Really? Okay. Well, you know what? That next thing that you audition for may be that you may have to be a podcast, a singing podcaster that kicks ass with Brazilian jiu-jitsu or something like that.
That sounds positively exhausting.
I just tired myself out just thinking about that.
I need a nap. Yeah.
All right, so something very important, and I know it's easy. How do people get in touch with you? The website.
Website, if you're interested in learning a bit more about the coaching, it is just anarchy4adain.com, and that's FOR, not the number 4. Give me a follow on, Instagram and Facebook. It's all kylemerrick.actor on both platforms. Same with LinkedIn. Spike a conversation with me. Don't hit me with a hi. I already got too many people that are doing that. I'm not going to respond to that shit. Ask me a question. I don't know. Say something nice. Be a human.
And I have to ask you this. What is this thing you're offering? Unfuck your website.
Well, it's something that I wrote.
Okay.
And I understand that people we might have just forgotten how to read as a society. Problematic as that may be, I fully acknowledge that. So here's the deal. Anybody who is interested in that, go ahead and just download it. It's going to throw your information into my database, and I'll spam the hell out. No, I'm not going to. I'm not a piece of shit marketer. Come on. Download it. The idea is I'm giving you literal frameworks of how your website should operate. So it's going to optimize things so that your customers don't get bored and leave. You need to be converting people, hopefully, with your website. And if you're not, give it a read. If you don't know how to read, throw it in AI. AI knows how to read. It'll tell you what it says.
Those of you listening, go to anarchy4adain.com/free-PDF. But while you're there, before you download this PDF, oh my God, you got to watch the video. Dude, my blood was rushing to my head just watching you standing on your head.
That was like, I realized I cut off my feet. And so I don't know if people think like maybe there's somebody holding them like from.
Oh shit, I just noticed that.
No, I'm doing a whole hand. I had to take multiple takes because I'm in a legitimate handstand while I'm speaking my script.
I was going to ask you how many takes that took.
A couple.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I asked the other thing too, because I don't know if you did the videos on your website.
Which one are you talking about? Like the one on the home?
Well, Anarchy for a Day with the cartoon characters.
Yeah. Well, I made that one. That was an AI voiceover because I'm like, I probably shouldn't have everything be me.
It's a great video.
Well, thank you. That's the idea. It's meant to just remark on different everyday sort of circumstances of, innovators.
Yeah.
And, where like anarchy is not some magical thing. Like this is just a regular way of thinking, but it's meant to remark on the innovations that have come about and innovators.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps this is something that you start a conversation with me about, not you, Rich, but anybody's going to hop into my DMs. Because if you can show me some individual who innovated themselves and they followed the norm and the playbook, please tell me, because I don't know if they exist.
Yeah.
Any innovator that I'm aware of has gone outside the lines of what was reasonable, and that's where they found whatever the goal is that they held on to, if not introduced to everybody.
All right, so with the Anarchy name, by chance, are you a Sex Pistols fan?
Oh boy, I heard sex in there. I was like, oh, where's this going?
Shit!
Right after we sign off, now we get spicy. Okay.
Well, no, because when I first saw the name Anarchy for a Day, the first thing that came to my mind was
Anarchy in the UK, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
A couple people have harkened back to that song, and I think I've probably used it in a post or two.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, the idea is, take that, because I think that is talking about like the more, traditional, like uprising tradition of it. That's, where the dictionary has it. and totally cool. Like that's where a lot of like the punk scene in like, London, especially like England, like that, they pioneered a lot of like that.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is bona fide fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I don't fall into that. I am my own weird lane, and I'm on, in a
But that's the
I'm gonna
first
stop
song
that
you're
thought
going to
right
sing for your singing lesson, isn't it?
Well, pip pip cheerio.
Oh, Jesus.
Things are gonna get abstract quick.
Oh, man. All right. God. Before I fall off of my
You gotta. I love the accent, dude.
run it,
I'm so
lip sync.
excited with this.
Before I fall off of my chair from laughing too damn hard or piss myself, is there anything you would like to add before I get to my last question?
God,
God.
I don't know. Drink your water, folks. It's not an original thought.
But it's important.
It is. It is very important.
That's why I've been sitting here
Yeah.
sipping on mine. I don't want to now because I'll probably choke from laughing too damn hard. All right. So, Kyle, pick a number between 1 and 5.
4.
4. All right. Let me get down to the 4th block here. Where are you at? All right. Now pick a number between 61 and 80.
62.
62.
I like where we're going with this. I hope we talk about more Sex Pistols stuff.
well, historical figure. So you never know. If you could have a 1-hour conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Hitler. I'd love to figure out what the fuck, dude.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not saying I'm going to enjoy the conversation, but a lot of the most important conversations are very unenjoyable.
Yeah. I would like to talk to him and talk about his art, because I heard he was a hell of an artist.
Well, here's the deal. I just lost a director that I was on a big ass monsters, Milko Davis. He passed away last Tuesday.
Oh,
I only knew him for just a small amount of time.
right.
But the reality, and when you understand somebody through their creative exploits, it's one of the easiest ways to get to know somebody because it's telling of the individual, especially if they're in a point of leadership, in that capacity. So talking about Hitler's paintings, my God, that's the conversation there. Well, buddy, why are you using okay, well, what kind of paints are you using? Why are you using these strokes? Why are you doing the scenes that you are? All that stuff.
And then turn around and just say, why are you such an asshole?
Then shoot him in the fucking head. And just solve a whole heck of a lot of problems for a lot of people.
Oh, God. Oh, Kyle, I want to thank you so much, man. It's been a blast. I haven't laughed this hard in a while. Oh,
well, good,
God.
man. Change that. Start laughing more.
Oh, I do. I laugh every day, but I got to admit, I have not laughed this hard during a podcast episode in a long while.
Oh, well.
I mean, see, I got to study improv. I'm sorry, I am not going to pose nude, but I got
that part didn't really add much to my humor level. It just, now I know what it feels like to pull my dick out in public. And
never mind. I'm not going. Yeah, I was gonna
yeah, I have no follow up to that one either. So.
Well, I was a male dancer for a while, so I mean,
Were
I guess
you really?
Yeah. When I got out of the Marine Corps, before my chest dropped.
Okay. Hey,
Oh shit!
You get finger guns for that one, my friend. For fuck's sake, you left me speechless.
Oh God! All right. On that note, Kyle, thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah, keep those tits high and tight, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something from it as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners. and share more incredible stories. Don't forget to connect with us on social media or visit our website at conversationswithrichbennett.com for updates, giveaways, and more. Until next time, take care, be kind, and keep the conversations going.